Big changes are on the horizon for downtown Salt Lake City. And tonight, residents step up and tell the city council what they think should and should not happen.
And a building at the center of the revitalization plans. The needs facing Abravanel Hall, no matter what's decided.
It was a nice but cool day here across the Beehive State with a few showers mainly into northeastern Utah. What to expect through the rest of tonight and when our temperatures are on the rise.
What advice would you give your high school self? Well, coming up, a group of graduates from the 1940s give their advice to the class of 2024.
Kids and debit cards, how they can help now while they're young and well beyond childhood.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9 starts right now.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Bob Evans.
And I'm Kelly Chapman. The Smith Entertainment Group has big visions for downtown Salt Lake City now that NHL hockey is here.
But to achieve the Dream Entertainment District, residents might have to pay for part of it. Fox 13 News reporter Emily Tenser joins us live from Salt Lake City Hall, where citizens shared their support and opposition tonight. Emily.
Bob, Kelly, it was a packed house inside the council chambers tonight. 70 people volunteered to speak on this subject, and in fact, public comment is still going on right now. The legislature authorized the city to issue a 0.5% sales tax hike to help pay for the infrastructure and development. The Smith Entertainment Group was here 2 weeks ago to explain their designs to the council, and they were here again tonight. Plans include remodeling the Delta Center, adding a bunch of retail, restaurants, and parking around the area, and also removing a section of the Salt Palace to connect the west and east parts of the city. Salt Lake's artistic community also wants to save the music halls, museums, and other spaces.
The Utah Arts Alliance just lost their art space in Southtown Mall for the sake of a hockey practice rink. And it's likely they'll lose the Utah Arts Hub as well for the sake of hockey. They'll lose that space, and that will displace hundreds of artists.
Know that this process is fast, but a fast process does not mean that it is not a deliberate one. This tax would be the first step. But to be very clear, this process will be in-depth, it will be deliberate, and it will be iterative.
That's a representative with the Smith Entertainment Group. He said tonight that the Delta Center, the Utah Jazz, and this professional hockey team is projected to bring in $600 million in economic impact to the city per year. Now, the council has until September 1st to come to an agreement, and then it'll go before the State Revitalization Zone Committee for approval. Now, the city council isn't expected to vote on the revitalization zone and the sales tax increase until about a month and a half from now on July 2nd. Reporting live in Salt Lake City, Emily Tenser, Fox 13 News, Utah.
The Salt Lake County Council gets an update on Abravanel Hall.
Right now, the people have said they don't want Abravanel Hall moved, but there's still problems.
I'm Ben Winslow at the Salt Lake County Government Complex. As arts lovers demand that the beloved facility be saved, a new study says it's not in that great of shape.
We have an incredible orchestra, we have a great hall, and we're serving nearly 400,000 people a year.
The Salt Lake County Council was briefed on the state of Abravanel Hall, home to the Utah Symphony, coincidentally as a downtown development plan is considered to accommodate a new professional hockey team.
The reason that I last week doubled down on this idea that we preserve is that the community spoke.
The study found Abravanel Hall is a downtown gem, but it has problems. The building's fire suppression system is not up to current code. It's not compliant with the Americans with Disabilities Act. The heating and air conditioning system is aging. It needs technology and acoustics upgrades and improvements to the backstage and lobby areas.
We have lots of opportunities that we've recognized about how the hall can be renovated.
Fixing it won't be cheap. It could cost about $200 to $250 million to remodel or rebuild.
Both of them have huge price tags, and right now that money is not specifically there.
As part of the effort to lure a professional hockey team to Utah, blocks of downtown Salt Lake City will transform into a sports, arts, and entertainment district. Current plans call for taking out a huge chunk of the Salt Palace to reconnect the east and west sides of the city as the Delta Center gets remodeled to accommodate the new hockey team.
Abravanel Hall is a tiny piece. We're talking about taking out a large portion of the Salt Palace and having to rebuild it somehow. That's actually a bigger concern to me right now than an Abravanel Hall. And I hate to tell Abravanel Hall people because I know they're passionate. Right. That's huge. That brings in more money than Abravanel Hall will ever bring into downtown. So when we're talking about money that comes in and helps offset people's taxes, that's my biggest concern.
We are Utah's first major league team, and Abravanel Hall is our stadium.
Symphony musicians and arts lovers urge the council to save the hall.
If we demolish Abravanel Hall, thus risking the loss of our symphony.
Abravanel Hall was built to code, and building officials have not required additional work for ADA, seismic, or fire suppression upgrades to meet updated codes.
We have a lot of very generic buildings in our downtown, and Abravanel Hall is not.
No decisions have been made, but obviously a lot of deliberation is needed. By the way, Salt Lake County has more than $800 million in deferred maintenance at its facilities, and that's countywide. At the Salt Lake County Government Complex, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
The man accused of killing Santa Quin Police Sergeant Bill Hoosier appeared in a Provo courtroom today. A waiver hearing for Michael Jane took less than 5 minutes. Jane was with his court-appointed public defender. He was wearing a neck brace and was in a wheelchair. His attorney asked to set the next court date for about 1 month from now, so items in discovery can be obtained and reviewed. The next scheduled hearing for Jane is June 18th.
We are learning more details about the events that led to officers shooting and killing a person in Millcreek late last night. This happened in the area of 3500 South and 2300 East. People in the neighborhood we spoke with today say they are in complete shock. They were already surprised by the presence of police officers last night, but even more stunned when they heard what happened just next door.
At first it was like 4 cars, and then I would look back out, it was 6, and then I couldn't count. I couldn't even see far enough. So at that point I was just curious if I should go outside and ask them if we should clear out.
According to the Unified Police Department, responders received word of a 15-year-old being kidnapped and held hostage. At some point, the situation escalated and police ended up shooting and killing the suspect. Law enforcement say they recovered a gun at the scene. The officer-involved critical incident protocol team is now taking over the investigation. There are still a lot of unanswered questions tonight. We don't know who the suspect was, their relation to the alleged kidnapped teenager, or if they fired their weapon. Grand County Search and Rescue were called to a canyon in Moab after a woman was injured when her hair became entangled in the gear she was using to rappel.
The Grand County EMS and search and rescue teams responded to Bow and Arrow Canyon just before 11 last night. The 50-year-old woman had been freed from a rappelling device by those who were with her. Once the woman had been stabilized, teams navigated her through a rope system in rainy and windy conditions, successfully removing her from the scene at 1 this morning. Her condition was not released.
What a rescue, and some weather elements that weren't necessarily ideal, Allison.
No, certainly, especially if there's possibly some lightning in the area. As we look at the forecast for tonight, beautiful view from our Old Mill camera. We've got temperatures right now close to 60 degrees here along the Wasatch Front. Into tonight, we will have a calm night here across the state. Then tomorrow, our wind is going to pick up here across Utah ahead of our next system that's going to be moving in tomorrow night into early on Thursday. So tomorrow will be warm and windy. When you wake up, temperatures in the upper 40s early in the day here in Salt Lake City. We'll have a somewhat cloudy start. We will see some sunshine peering through in the afternoon, though, so we will have some of those sun breaks as we look at temperatures throughout the day tomorrow. It is going to be a warm day. So today was below average. Tomorrow is going to be warm with a breeze, so warm and windy here across the state. For tomorrow, our air quality forecast is for moderate air, and our temperatures tomorrow rising into the 70s here in Salt Lake. So wind out of the southwest about 10 to 20 miles per hour. We'll talk more about that front that moves in tomorrow night coming up later in the hour. Plus, of course, we've got a holiday weekend ahead of us. What to expect for Memorial Day coming up.
The body of a truck driver was recovered and a semi removed from Deer Creek after crashing into the reservoir last night. When the highway could open again and impacts to our water.
Plus, a new installment in our Path to the White House series, this time focusing on health care.
And graduates of generations gone by, passing down some words of wisdom to Utahns entering the real world now. It's a Positively Utah story you don't want to miss.
Almost 24 hours after a semi-truck crashed into Deer Creek Reservoir, crews were still on scene trying to piece together what exactly happened. I'm Jenna Bree with Fox 13 News. On Tuesday afternoon, the body of the driver was recovered from the vehicle. This all began Monday evening just after 7 p.m. It started as a rescue mission, but turned into a recovery and a hazardous material incident on Tuesday. Crews used giant cranes to lift the truck out of the water and found the adult male driver from Utah dead inside the cab. Captain Scott Robertson says the truck was hauling 12,000 gallons of propane, which dissipated into the atmosphere at the time of the crash.
It's cold, the water's cold. There's a good chance that there's some still in the bottom. We can smell it from time to time up there depending on the wind. So, but it's the danger from that is not gone, but it's greatly diminished.
Wasatch fire diving crews put absorption booms and curtains in the reservoir to soak up the mess.
The propane actually was where the tank was breached was on the top portion of the container, so it actually vented into the atmosphere. We know propane's heavier in air, but we weren't concerned that it was mixing with the water.
Chief Eric Hales says now that the driver has been recovered, crews can work to contain the spill and clean it out.
From our estimates, we leaked anywhere from 30 to 40 gallons of diesel fuel and probably about 30 plus gallons of engine oil. So that's what our primary concern is.
Keeping Highway 189 closed on the east side of Deer Creek for almost a full day, Captain Robertson says he understands the inconvenience, but they have to conduct a thorough investigation into the crash.
You know, we don't just want to guess. We owe it to the family of the deceased driver to do the best investigation we can, and that just takes time.
Water Conservancy officials were also on scene. So far, the crash has not had any impact on water supply or quality. The exact cause of the crash is still under investigation. Reporting in Heber City, Jenna Bree, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Former President Donald Trump is no longer coming to Utah for a fundraiser next month.
Our content partners at the Salt Lake Tribune report the event had been planned for June 27th at the St. Regis Deer Valley in Park City. That date is now when Mr. Trump and President Biden plan to debate on CNN. The Tribune reports the fundraiser has not yet been rescheduled.
It is finally happening. This statue of Dr. Martha Hughes Cannon will be sent to Washington. Better Days 2020, which lobbied for a statue of Utah's first female senator in the U.S. Capitol, says it will leave its place in the Utah Capitol and head to D.C. next month. They're planning a big public send-off the evening of June 5th at the state capitol. No date on when it will be installed in Statuary Hall in the nation's capital, where Martha will represent Utah.
What advice would you give your high school self? I'm Fox 13 News reporter Darian DeBrule at the Ridge Senior Living Cottonwood, where some graduates from the 1940s got to give advice to some 2024 grads. This is a graduation party. No, seriously, it's all about celebrating the class of 2024 and the Golden Girls and Boys from the classes of 1943, 1946, and 1947.
47? Oh, this is your yearbook. Right there.
These three high school seniors and these four seniors at the Ridge Cottonwood all went to East High in Salt Lake City, just a few years apart.
Fight, East High, fight, fight, fight. We'll win this game.
After going through the East High Yearbook archives, National Honor Society students Christian, Noah, and Clara decided to bring Bill, Elizabeth, Isabel, and David their yearbooks from the 1940s.
I'm just looking to see what other friends I have.
And boy, did they bring back a flood of memories.
I'd forgotten about that.
High school was a lot different back then.
If you didn't enlist in the Navy by the time you turned 18, you had to go in the Army. They just drafted you in.
You know, the dances, Things like that seem so frivolous when we were fighting a war.
But some things never change.
There I am right there.
Bakeries, stores, all the clerks
Thank
and that were most all maybe.
Being 90 years plus seems so far away when you're graduating high school.
Life's great if you don't weaken.
But let this group of seniors tell you, it goes by fast.
Oh, I enjoyed it all.
And sometimes a little advice is what you need to get through.
Try to be honorable and honest in what you do.
As the seniors flipped through pages of the good old days, they had a question for the class of 2024. What will you remember when you're 90?
I feel like you remember the small things more than you remember the big things. You remember the small, fun instances and memories that you made with people.
In Holiday, Darian DeBrule, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Hopefully they will remember that gathering with that class of,
The
what is
seniors
it, 28? Yeah.
meeting the seniors.
Isn't that
Yeah.
great? Oh.
There is something so nostalgic and feels so good when you do thumb through an old yearbook of yours.
Yeah.
So many memories and good times and people.
And if that's not a regular thing, it should be.
Yes, you know.
Every high school, and then pair up with a senior center. That would be such a fun thing to do.
That's a great idea.
Every single year around graduation. And let us know here at Fox 13 so we can come cover it if you're doing that. Beautiful day today after what was a very gloomy start to the week. I'm meteorologist Allison Krogan. Here's a look at Albion Basin tonight. Blue sky, getting dark outside right now. Temperatures in Salt Lake about 60 degrees. We have our full visibility at 10 miles. Feels like it's that 59 degrees, a little bit of wind out of the east, about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tomorrow is going to be breezier here across the state. As we look at our temperatures here in Utah right now, most of us are rather comfortable as we get ready for bed, all things considering, right? Temperatures up into Evanston right now, though, at 41 degrees, so it's chilly up there. A lot of wind in the forecast for tomorrow, particularly for southwest Wyoming and northern Utah. We'll get to that in just a second. Tonight, mostly clear sky here across the state. We did have some showers, mainly near the Wyoming and Colorado borders today, but we mostly saw mostly clear sky. For Salt Lake right now, a live look from the Natural History Museum as we have just a little bit of light left out there. Temperatures dropping into the 40s early tomorrow morning, so we will have a cool start tomorrow. And then our temperatures are going to be on the rise. Now, as we look at our wind gust forecast for tomorrow at noon, you'll notice that we'll start seeing areas of red up towards Wyoming. That's 35 plus miles per hour. Areas of yellow, that's 25 plus miles per hour. So midday tomorrow, late morning, we'll start to see that picking up. And we could even see some areas highlighted in purple along I-80 right near the Nevada state line, the Wyoming state line and the Nevada state line. We could possibly see some wind gusts, maybe 45 plus miles per hour. As of right now, we don't have any warnings, watches, or advisories here in Utah for tomorrow. We'll have temperatures starting about 40 to 50 degrees here across the state as you wake up on your Wednesday morning. And then our temperatures throughout the day tomorrow, those are going to be rising into the 70s here in Salt Lake City. Our wind out of the southwest about 10 to 20 miles per hour. St. George, your forecast looking pretty nice. Look at this, close to 90 degrees for tomorrow. Next week, you're flirting with maybe even close to triple digits. So we've got some warm weather on the way as we wrap up May. Our extended forecast is looking warm, and it's also looking a little bit drier than typically would be for the end of May. So potentially some really nice weather in the extended forecast. Temperatures tomorrow at 4 p.m. We're looking in the 70s here across the state, and so warm and windy for tomorrow. And as we look at our future cast tonight into tomorrow, some very strong storms possible throughout tonight, mainly for the upper Midwest, and then throughout tomorrow midday, we're going to see some storms likely down towards Texas, Arkansas, into Louisiana. St. George tomorrow 85, and then as I mentioned, flirting with potentially triple digits by next Tuesday. But of course, big question mark, Monday, Memorial Day. Low 90s for St. George with sunshine. For Salt Lake City, we've got a couple of fronts that are going to clip the northern part of the state, and it'll kind of drop our temperatures up and down over the next few days. So tomorrow we're back up. We're upper 70s, warm with a breeze. We're cooler on Thursday, back near 60 degrees. Warmer on Friday. By Saturday, we could see a chance for some showers. We'll talk more about that later in the hour. And then most of the weekend should be dry, though. And then by Monday, I'm still giving 2 thumbs up for any outdoor plans for Memorial Day. Right now, it's looking like it's going to be sunny and 77 degrees here in Salt Lake City for the holiday. We'll be right back.
Former President Donald Trump's lawyers have rested their case in the New York hush money trial.
Mr. Trump did not take the witness stand in his own defense. His attorneys only called 2 witnesses, while the district attorney's office called 20 witnesses over the course of 15 days. The jury was sent home for a week until May 28th, when closing arguments are expected. Deliberations could begin as early as next Wednesday.
The United Nations says it has suspended food distribution in the southern Gaza city of Rafah. The UN blamed a lack of supplies and an untenable security situation caused by Israel's expanding military operation for the disruption in food distributions. It also said no aid trucks entered via a pier set up by the U.S. for sea deliveries for the past 2 days. A spokesperson for the UN's World Food Program warned that, quote, humanitarian operations in Gaza are near collapse.
Los Angeles police have opened a criminal investigation into how actor Matthew Perry got the ketamine that led to his death. Perry was best known for his role as Chandler on the show Friends. He was found dead last October. The autopsy called his death an accident, but noted ketamine contributed. The report mentioned Perry was getting ketamine infusion therapy for treatment of anxiety and depression. The DEA and the Postal Inspection Service are also involved in the investigation.
Kids and debit cards. How young is too young when it comes to carrying one of these?
Kids need to know how to manage invisible money.
Expert advice that can help parents now and down the road.
Coming up next.
Fox 13 News and our parent company Scripps are focusing on the issues that matter most to voters. On the path to the White House, we travel across the country to tell these stories ahead of the November election.
Scripps News correspondent Charles Benson met with voters in Wisconsin to talk about health care. Here's a look at a small part of their conversation.
I'm Ron Schmill from Delafield, Wisconsin, 60 years old. I'm a cancer survivor of 40 years. March 8th, I actually had a heart attack, had 2 stents put in, seemed to maybe have solved my problems, but I'm a user of health insurance, and my wife now is retiring June 2nd, and we will now go on Cobra and pay.
But your premiums are going to be high, your deductibles are going to be high. How will you navigate that?
Well, I guess we have to budget for it because our premiums will be $1,800 a month. And that's only for 18 months.
Peter, you kind of cringed there.
No, I mean, that's a lot of money. 1,800, that's an awful lot of money for anybody.
My name is Kamar Carter. I have the House of Vitality. I grew up in the projects, and my mother, she was on the state insurance. So as I got older, I developed a family of my own. I had to pay for insurance through my job.
Do you worry about paying your deductibles?
Oh, definitely, because I understand that I feel like everything is all too high right now. It's too high for everybody. Like, we just heard his story, like, that's ridiculous. I just think Republicans and Democrats, I think me and you talked about it the other day, if you love people, it's no reason why you can't sit down at a table and come up with something where everybody's happy.
My name is Lynn Carey, and I live in southeastern Wisconsin. Healthcare has always been very important to me because my career has been as a nurse. I'm a retired nurse. So I was on the one side of the bed for a very long time, and then I became the patient. So it was really a complete change in my life.
So you're a double lung transplant?
I am. I had a double lung transplant. It will be 9 years on May 13th.
Lynn, if you had the candidate standing right here, you could say, look, what would you tell them?
I would tell them that we elect you because we put our trust into you. Your job is to get together, put past ideology, and talk about what is best for the citizens and how we can provide a health care system that will provide health care as a right, not as a privilege. The other piece for me in terms of Medicare, I like the discussion about making it available earlier. I would like to see it actually available to everyone. Well, I call it Medicare for all.
Medicare for all.
I have had a really good experience with Medicare.
I was in my own insurance business for 30 years. I also specialized in long-term care insurance. Only 6 Americans out of 100 have a way of paying for nursing home or home care. And it's very expensive to be cared for. I'm a big proponent of preventative health care. I would prefer, instead of health care being tied to a job, because people want to maybe change a job or they lose the job, if everybody had their own individual policy and belonged to a group where a group could cut the premium down. I mean, being tied to a job, that's not very efficient.
That was Charles Benson moderating. We'll be featuring roundtable discussions with voters like what you just saw. We'll cover the hot button issues every Tuesday night on Fox 13 News at 9, leading up to the Republican National Convention in July. Switching gears now, with the school year almost over, summer may be the perfect time to teach a valuable life lesson.
And you can start at any grade level. Money management skills are something studies show is lacking across the country among school-aged children. I sat down with an expert to see how young is too young to introduce financial responsibility and how counting coins and cash is now an outdated practice to invest in. Gone are the days of piggy banks and money jars.
Cash evaporated.
In today's day and age, digital currency is the norm.
Kids need to know how to manage invisible money.
And time is of the essence when it comes to introducing financial literacy in children.
I think you have a decade, really, from 6 to about 16.
I sat down with Greg Mercett, CEO of Busy Kid, an online debit and chore app that educates kids about the value in saving, investing, and spending money, all while easily managing chore and work charts to earn money.
I believe kids learn best by doing. This experiential kind of learning is the best.
Greg tells me it is no surprise, according to a recent ING Direct study, 83% of teens do not know how to manage money.
We're doing a terrible job.
And despite money making the world go round, if kids are not active participants in personal and family finances, the life lesson is lost.
We can't wait. We can't wait around and think that they're going to learn this by osmosis. It's not going to happen.
To help get finances on track both now and in the future, Greg has a few tips to start a cash flow of learning.
Call a meeting, okay? All right, everybody, we are going to implement something in our lives here because I don't want you all to just earn your money and burn your money.
He says putting financial power in their hand via a debit card is the first step in fiscal responsibility.
I'm telling you, 7, 8, 9 years old, you think that, oh my goodness, that's really early, but it's what they need to learn.
And once a child or teen has a card in their name, you can make a game plan on how to break up finances into different categories.
Some of it goes into save, where they can invest and learn how to invest. Some of it goes into share, where they can donate it to charity. And then some of it goes into spend.
Greg tells me when children practice money sense when they're younger and learn how transactions and interest works, it's a much easier blow when buyer's remorse takes hold.
If they make a $10, $20 mistake, that's okay. But if you wait and now they're in college and they get this credit card offer and then they bury themselves in $3,000 worth of debt that they can't get out of, this is a big problem.
And putting money in vehicles that can potentially earn cash is a lesson in risk and reward.
If they're investing in some stock that they think is cool and it goes down, right? That's where the lesson's learned. Or it goes up and they learn that, wow, I earned money and I didn't have to do anything and I got a dividend, like starts to click.
And it's those clicks that can add up to a lifelong path of financial readiness for our most precious assets, our children and next generation.
Get them ready for reality because it's coming. And we got to raise their financial IQ.
Reality is coming.
Yeah,
It hits us
reality
all.
is here.
Some sooner than later. You know, we were talking about our own children, and I
Yeah.
gave my kids a debit card at a very young age and let them start, you know, practicing, making their own purchases.
Right.
And, you know, if they spent all $5 on candy in one go round,
Sorry.
there was no more for the rest of the week.
See, and our kids have their own
Yeah.
cards as well, and they're learning how to manage that, you know, in the digital world. And yeah, when they've spent all their money on gas or movies or video games.
Yes, such a simple concept,
Right?
but sometimes difficult. Like, you can't spend more than you have, right?
Wait a minute, you can't?
I know, unfortunately. If you are ready to make a deposit in your kid's financial educational future, stop by your local bank or credit union. Many of them have accounts specifically for
For kids,
children. Yeah. Also, if you want more money tips and if you're interested in learning about that app that has the chore charts built in, Busy Kid, that you saw Greg there in my story he created, you can go to busykid.com.
Coming up, we've learned a 5th grader in North Ogden mistakenly took THC gummy worms to school. What school officials are saying about the situation.
And Salt Lake City is a pretty good place to live, according to a new ranking, where Utah's capital city lands on the list compared to the rest of the country. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. Officials have now identified the man who died after a construction incident in Park City on Saturday morning. Police say 50-year-old Harold Parker was killed after they believe the crane rolled down an embankment, crushing him. The cause of the crash remains under investigation.
Police have also identified the man who was killed in a single-car crash on I-15 in American Fork. UHP says early yesterday morning, 24-year-old Juan Pineros Cardona crashed head-on into a barrier near the Pioneer Crossing off-ramp on I-15. His vehicle caught fire. First responders put out that fire and flew the driver to the hospital, where he died. A North Ogden parent is being investigated after police say their 11-year-old child brought THC-infused gummy worms to school and shared them with 4 other children.
This happened in March at Green Acres Elementary School. The Weber School District says none of the children became seriously ill, but exhibited symptoms such as lightheadedness. Police say the case is still open and the prosecuting attorney is screening charges against the parent. The Division of Child and Family Services also opened a case. New data from U.S. News and World Report ranks Salt Lake City 33rd best place to live in the U.S. right now.
Now, to make the top of the list, a place had to have good value, be a desirable place to live, have a strong job market, and a high quality of life. The top cities were Naples, Florida, Boise, Idaho was second, and Colorado Springs was third. Allison?
Wow, Naples, Florida sounds nice this time of year. As we look at the forecast here across Utah, this is the place to be heading into Memorial Day weekend. Today was below average, but temperatures will rebound for tomorrow ahead of our next front. More on that coming up.
Big day for high school sports. 5A, 6A girls golf championship was played today at Soldier Hollow and at Harriman. The 6A boys soccer semifinals and both matches went to penalty shootouts. The highlights are on the way.
Take a look at this. Settlement Canyon Reservoir in Tooele is full. The irrigation company says the water level is at 60.5 feet. It's running over the spillway now, so use caution in that area if you're going to go up there. And please do not throw rocks into the spillway.
Yeah, be careful, but good problem to have when you live in a desert. At Lake Powell, the southern Colorado Plateau Network says water levels are up to 3,562 feet. Now that is still 138 feet lower than its level when full. The water flow for this year right now is 3,693,139 feet.
How many?
Yeah, count them, Bob. That is up from this time last year, but still below average.
Still below average, but it's good to see those water levels, especially at Lake Powell, coming up, Allison.
Yes, certainly. You know, and also we've had a water year that's been great just across the board. We are above normal. We're at 120% of normal for our water year for the state of Utah. So that's some good news there. For Salt Lake City, I should say, for our water year. As we look at our headlines for the next couple of days, we are warm with a breeze for tomorrow, so warm and windy for your Wednesday. We've got an active pattern of front moving through Wednesday night into early Thursday. And then we're also looking at another front moving through for the beginning part of the holiday weekend. And as of right now, Memorial Day itself, I'm still giving a big thumbs up, but stay tuned in case that changes. But as of right now, Monday is looking nice. So here's our water year update. We've had more than 14 inches of precipitation here in Salt Lake. That is above normal. So this is rain and melted snow since October 1st. That water year does run starting October 1st through September 30th. So let's talk about the next couple of days. We've got our front moving through tomorrow night into early Thursday. That is mainly going to be a dry boundary, although we could see some mainly isolated scattered showers, particularly into northeastern Utah for Thursday, but that is mostly going to be no big impacts from precipitation. We head into the early part of the weekend. We could see some showers heading into Saturday, and then high pressure right now looks like that'll take over for early next week. So that looks like Memorial Day will be a generally nice day here across the region. For right now here across northern Utah, things are looking really good. We have somewhat mild temperatures currently, all things considering, because today was below average. For tonight, we've already seen several very, very strong storms, especially up into Iowa. Some confirmed fatalities from a tornado. So what we're going to be watching tonight is the possibility of some nocturnal tornadoes into the upper Midwest. And obviously the concern with that is they're twice as deadly when tornadoes occur at night because people are sleeping and not necessarily getting the alerts and going to their safe space. So that's tough to see, but that's a possibility for tonight with the nocturnal tornadoes moving through portions of the Midwest and upper Midwest. For Wednesday morning, for us here back in Utah, we're looking at about 40 to 50 degrees for tomorrow morning. It is going to be a breezy and warm day for tomorrow. Chance of precipitation, then we're heading into Wednesday night and Thursday for Ogden, widely scattered to isolated, and then we'll see some low chances again heading into the early part of the weekend. For Provo, your chance of precipitation isolated for Wednesday night and Thursday. Chances to go up a little bit for the beginning of the holiday weekend, but Monday is looking nice. And for St. George, you have a dry 7-day forecast for the most part, but Friday night could see some isolated showers, and the chance of precipitation for Moab isolated for Friday and Saturday. So St. George, 85 tomorrow, upper 80s Thursday, Friday. Do want to point out by next Monday and Tuesday, you're back into the 90s and perhaps flirting with triple digits by next Tuesday into the upper 90s. Let's talk about Salt Lake City because we've got a little bit of a roller coaster temperature wise. Tomorrow, 76, warmer with a breeze. And then we head into Thursday, mostly sunny. Temperatures are cool because of our front that's moving through late Wednesday into early Thursday. 60 degrees for a high on Thursday. Partly cloudy Friday. Temperatures rebound. Might see some scattered showers for the mountains on Friday. We'll see some widely scattered rain chances Saturday into early Sunday. Chance for some isolated showers. And then Monday right now is looking like it's going to be nice, sunny, and 77 for Memorial Day in Salt Lake City.
Today was the final round of the 5A and 6A Girls Golf State Championships at Soldier Hollow. Let's start in 6A. Lone Peak's Addie Nilsson with the clutch par putt on the 10th hole. She finished second. Her Lone Peak teammate Aiden Long took the lead with this birdie putt on the 9th hole. The defending champion was back on top. Then on the 11th hole, it's another birdie putt for Aiden, and this one is tracking and dropping. She shot a 69 to win by 5 shots at 2 under par for back-to-back medalist honors while leading Lone Peak to their 3rd straight team state championship.
All day I knew that I had to play good because I had two of my teammates that were my opponents for the individual spot, but yeah, I was just overall just took it one shot at a time and this is crazy. Like, the team did so good. I'm so proud of everyone on our team. They all played so good. I'm glad to be able to take another individual spot and also obviously the team. So yeah.
In 5A, Timpview's Emma Lillywhite made a run at the individual state title, rose in the birdie putt on the 9th hole. She had the lead on the back 9 and shot a 69, but still finished second. Defending champion Ashley Lamb from Skyline got hot when it mattered most on the final stretch, birdie putt drops in at the 16th hole. That gave her a one-shot lead over Lily White at 2 under par. They both parred the 17th. Lily White made birdie at 18, but Lamb made this putt for eagle, winning back-to-back medalist honors by 2 shots at 4 under par after a final round 69, while leading Skyline to the team title.
It was definitely super cool. It was super tight at the end. I was like so nervous, but I was like, I know I can still do it. So I was like, well, I guess we did it. Yeah, it's super cool. To do it back-to-back, senior year, couldn't imagine anything better.
6A boys soccer semifinals, Pleasant Grove and Farmington. It went to a penalty shootout. Phoenix goalkeeper Jackson Benyon made a penalty kick save in regulation and again in the shootout. So Farmington could win it with this PK from Chase Ashby, and he scores. Farmington won the shootout 4-2 to advance to the championship game. It was Bingham and American Fork in the other semifinal, and this match also went to a shootout. This one went back and forth. Sam Nettesheim scores to put American Fork up 6-5 in the shootout. Then the Caveman goalkeeper, Sebastian Beretta, makes the big save to end it. American Fork won the shootout 6-5, so it'll be Farmington and American Fork in the championship game.
Another downfall of a missed penalty kick, a sore arm.
Yeah, from that same goalkeeper
poor
stopped
kids.
the same PK from that kid earlier.
Oh, really?
For it to come down to that.
Oh,
wow.
boy.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yep, we'll be right back.
You know, if you just haven't been sleeping well and you've been wondering how to explain the feud between rappers Drake and Kendrick Lamar to your parents, you're not alone.
I'm so glad you're talking about this.
My kids did it to me.
I have been up all night.
Okay, here's the deal. Iconic actor Tom Hanks texted his son Chet, asking what all the fuss was about, and luckily Chet was happy to help. In response, Chet sent a lengthy text summarizing the feud. He listed some of the diss tracks and the various accusations made by the rappers. You know, Bob, all the tea.
Oh, yeah.
Hanks' response to his son's explanation was, quote, "Holy cow, who's winning?" Chet Hanks deemed Lamar the winner of the battle, so he jokingly called his dad out about whether he'd actually read the explanation. So, Bob, did you follow all that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And if you're going to give me a quiz on this right now, I could probably pass it.
Well, it was all blurred out.
not.
I wanted to know what the explanation was, because I know there's beef, but I don't know what the beef is.
So, yeah, so there's Drake and there's Kendrick Lamar.
And they've been doing diss tracks.
And they've been doing diss tracks to each other.
Yeah.
Now, Bob, do you know what a diss track is?
Yes, I know what a diss track. Well, I kind of figured it out a little bit.
There was one right there from Kelly.
Yeah, right? Quick cast up next.